Hello everyone, welcome back to the Top 10 Most Awesome channel. The Russia-Ukraine conflict has more things on day 11 and 12, Russia warning Ukraine that it might lose its statehood if its leaders continue to do what they are doing. Tough stress between the countries. So here we have brought to you some highlights from the day 11 and 12 of the war. Let's get into the detailed insights of both the days, and try to understand what its impacts will be on different countries as well. Make sure you watch the video till the end. Number 10. Zelensky speaks to Biden. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky holds a phone conversation with his U.S. counterpart, Joe Biden, to discuss ongoing efforts to provide financial support for Ukraine and sanctions against Russia. Earlier, he had pressed U.S. legislators for additional funding and an embargo on Russian oil imports. The White House has so far ruled out such a ban for fear of driving up consumer prices. Number 9. Ukraine leader thanks Musk. Zelensky also speaks to SpaceX chief executive Elon Musk and thanks him for giving Ukraine access to his company's satellite internet system, Starlink. "I'm grateful to him for supporting Ukraine with words and deeds," Zelensky said in a tweet. Next week we will receive another batch of Starlink systems for destroyed cities. The Ukrainian leader also jokes they discussed possible space projects, which he would talk about after the war. Number 8. Ceasefire attempt fails. Russia resumes its offensive against the besieged southeastern city of Mariupol after a ceasefire agreed to allow the evacuation of civilians breaks down. Each side blames the other. Officials in Mariupol had announced plans for a large-scale evacuation during the ceasefire but later said they had to postpone the operation in the face of continued Russian shelling. Russia accused Ukrainian forces in Mariupol of blocking residents from leaving. Doctors Without Borders, Médecins Sans Frontières, or MSF, warns that the humanitarian situation in the city is catastrophic and that it is imperative to set up a humanitarian corridor. Number 7. Putin threatens statehood. Russian President Vladimir Putin warns Ukraine it might lose its statehood if its leaders continue to do what they are doing. He also directs threats at NATO, saying any countries imposing a no-fly zone over Ukraine will be considered enemy combatants while equating the global sanctions on his country to a declaration of war. Zelensky has pleaded for a no-fly zone, but NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg rejects the call, saying it could lead to a wider war in Europe. Number 6. Approaching Kyiv. Russian forces inch closer to the capital, Kyiv, from the north and the west. Reports describe scenes of widespread destruction in the northern town of Chernihiv, where dozens of civilians have been killed in shelling, missile attacks and air raids. Read about daily life in Kyiv as Russian troops close in here. The war is getting intense day by day. The approaches of the countries doesn't seem to take any steps that leads to conclusion or ending the war. Unlike day 11, the day 12 has more engrossing news and information. So let's move into the day 12. But before, just take a moment to hit the subscribe button and bell icon for post notification. Number 5. Fierce battles. Russian forces have stepped up their shelling of Ukrainian cities in the center, north and south of the country, Ukrainian presidential advisor Alexei Arestovich said. The latest wave of missile strikes came as darkness fell, he said on Ukrainian television. Arestovich described a catastrophic situation in the Kyiv suburbs of Bucha, Hostomel, and Irpin, where efforts to evacuate residents failed. Evacuations also failed in Mariupol in the south and Volnovakha in the east because of the shelling. Number 4. Diplomatic efforts. Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett has said his country will continue trying to mediate between Russia and Ukraine even if success seems unlikely. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan urged Russian President Vladimir Putin to declare a ceasefire in Ukraine, open humanitarian corridors and sign a peace agreement, his office said. Number 3. More companies quit operations in Russia. Global streaming entertainment service Netflix, top accounting firms KPMG and PwC and financial services firm American Express have cut ties with Russia as the conflict with Ukraine escalated. The announcements follow a similar move by a number of other Western companies, including Nike, IKEA, Zara, and Hermes, which have closed shops or offices or ceased operations as trade restrictions and supply constraints have added to political pressure for companies to stop business in Russia. Number 2. U.S. European allies discuss banning imports of Russian oil. The U.S. and European allies are exploring banning imports of Russian oil, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said, and the White House coordinated with key congressional committees moving forward with their own ban. Europe relies on Russia for crude oil and natural gas but has become more open to the idea of banning Russian products in the past 24 hours, a source familiar with the discussions told Reuters news agency. Separately, Japan, which counts Russia as its fifth biggest supplier of crude oil, is also in discussion with the U.S. and the European Union about possibly banning Russian oil imports. Number 1. Russia's credit rating slips. Moody's cut Russia's credit rating, the second lowest rung of its rating ladder, citing central bank capital controls that are likely to restrict payments on the country's foreign debt and lead to default. The credit ratings firm said its decision was driven by severe concerns around Russia's willingness and ability to pay its debt obligations. The central bank last week put a temporary halt on payments and on March 2 said it had barred coupon payments for foreign investors holding ruble-denominated sovereign debt. Your thoughts about the war are equally important. So express them openly in the comment box and share your views. Also share and like the video to your friends and family. I will see you in the next one. Till then you can go through our Russia-Ukraine war series. Thanks for watching.